Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of chapter 4. So in this particular segment, it should be a little bit shorter because I'm going to be reading a much shorter segment of the text. We spoke earlier about how loneliness is a theme in chapter 4. And in the first part of this video cast, we saw that the person who was the object of that loneliness was Crooks. This time, there's going to be a new character that we're going to learn a little bit more about. And that individual happens to be some of your favorite characters. Go ahead and listen in as I read you all this excerpt. Any of you boys seen Curley? They swung their heads toward the door. Looking in was Curley's wife. Her face was heavily made up. Her lips were slightly parted. She breathed strongly, as though she had been running. Curley ain't been here, Candy said sourly. She stood still in the doorway, smiling a little at them, rubbing the nails of one hand with the thumb and forefinger of the other. And her eyes traveled from one face to another. They left all the weak ones here, she said finally. Think I don't know where they all went? Even Curley. I know where they all went. Lenny watched her, fascinated, but Candy and Crooks were scowling down away from her eyes. Scowling meaning kind of looking away, not at all interested. Oh, no, please. Candy said, then if you know, why you want to ask us where Curley is? So when we're pausing here, first thing that I can say, we know by now that the narrator specifically chooses to introduce this particular scene with Curley's wife. We all seem to have some very strong opinions about Curley's wife. But no matter what we think, in this particular segment, she's come looking for her husband, as she often does, in the presence of other men. Those men today happen to be Lenny, Candy, and Crooks. Okay, we'll see how they react to her as she continues to talk to them. And more than that, we're going to pay attention, just like we did with Crooks, to how her experiences have in some way impacted her behavior and her thoughts. She regarded them amusedly. Funny thing, she said. If I catch any one man and he's alone, I get along fine with him. But just let two of you guys get together and you won't talk. Just nothing but mad. She dropped her fingers and put her hands on her hips. You're all scared of each other, that's what. Every one of you scared of the rest is going to get something on you. After a pause, Crooks said, maybe you better go on along to your own house now. We don't want no trouble. Now we remember that Crooks is different from the other guys because he is the one black individual amongst them all. So I think that in Crooks's mind, dealing with Curley's wife, who's also white, if anything goes down while he's there, he's going to be the fall guy, and he doesn't want that. So he again says, we don't want no trouble. Well, I ain't giving you no trouble. Think I don't like to talk to somebody every once in a while? Think I like to stick and sit in that house all the time? We never thought about that. So now we find that maybe it's not just that Curley's wife is a flirt. Maybe she's not always seeking male attention because she wants to step out on her husband. Maybe there's another reason. Candy laid the stump of his wrist on his knee and rubbed it gently with his hand. He said accusingly, you got a husband. You got no call fooling around with other guys causing trouble. The girl flared up. Sure I got a husband. You all seen him. Swell guy, ain't he? Spends all his time saying what he's gonna do to one guy he doesn't like, and he don't like nobody. think I'm going to stay in that 2x4 house and listen to how Curly's going to lead with his left twice? And then bring on the old right across? 1-2, he says. Just the old 1-2, and it'll go down. She paused. Her face lost its sullenness. I'm going to stop there. So that's going to be my short segment here with Curly's wife. I want us to use the story that, or the particular segment of the story that Curly's wife tells us about her experiences with her husband when no one's around, to make a decision as to why it is that she might be really coming to look for all these men and pretending to look for Curly. She knows where her husband is, and yet she travels around the ranch and finds other men under the guise of looking for him. So I want us to think about that question again that I asked you earlier in the last webcast. You guys are thinking specifically about how the theme of loneliness is developed in this chapter. And I want you to go through and find examples, the best examples that you can from the text, to prove how those themes develop, or to explain, rather, how those themes develop. I want you to make sure you read the entire chapter. And what you might find is that in addition to Crooks and Curly's wife, you might be able to find some other examples to throw in. But feel free to use these too. Make sure that you're going back through and, again, finding that best proof from the text. I read today from 72% to 73%. So somewhere around there should be able to help guide your search for the best possible evidence. Okay, guys. I do wish you all the best of luck in finishing chapter 4. And feel free to watch this as many times as you need to get a better understanding of what I'm looking for and what you should be looking for. All right, good luck and enjoy.